Olá, marujos!
Olá, marujas! Hoje a gente vai falar sobre
Curiosidades operacionais, curiosidades das pessoas que falam, ponte de comando, será que quando o capitão não tá lá, o navio está sendo dirigido por quem? Mas enfim, nós estivemos na ponte de comando e o capitão mostrou tudinho pra gente na íntegra sobre navegação, segurança de bordo e assuntos super legais que você realmente não deve dispensar antes de embarcar no navio. Confira. Hi, Captain. Nice to meet you. Thank you for having us here. I wanted to show the Brazilian people the behind the scenes, to have some shooting about the crew. You know, when the crew sign on, they do the training for safety, for human resources, because they have a career plan for them here, how they treat it and everything. You guys work with a lot of pressure because you have to keep the protocols, all the documents and everything to maintain the safety of everybody on board. It's a big role that you play here.
Well, we're highly regulated by many different agencies, and our flag state, the Bahamas, is what regulates us. We are regulated by also the Classification Society, DNV. We're regulated by the port in which we operate, so our port state control in this case would be out of Brazil, or any port or country in which we operate out of as a turnaround port. We're also subject to port state controls in every port in which we call it. In addition to our own internal security audits, safety audits, our primary purpose here is to maintain a safe operation. Safety first is really the truest statement at all.
some people think that you just stay there
Just
and
drives the
turn
ship.
the wheel to the right and to the left, and you just stay focused on the direction of the boat. But that's more like even a metaphor for everything that's going on, because today it's like the technology is so advanced, you don't need to stay there most of the time.
No, not at sea, and that's very true. Most of my day is spent doing other things.
That's it.
Arrivals and departures are very busy, but once we're in port, I don't need to stay on the bridge. So the actual amount of time I spend on the bridge is very limited, but it's during the time of most critical operations. And the captain any captain is the ultimate authority on board. So it's a very pyramid-shaped hierarchy, and it's very based militaristic style. I mean, we all wear uniforms, we all have very structured routine on board here, and it has to happen. Everything has to happen on time, just right. You'd be surprised at just how complicated it is, and how it actually works so well is the remarkable part.
Yeah, when you have all the safety and the training, the crew goes lifeboat drill, crew drill, passenger drills. So everybody plays each role, and they know where to go in case of emergency and everything, right? And it's done regularly every week because of IMO. And
within the week, we'll drill probably 3 times. We'll have 3 separate types of drills, and they're different types of drills. This cruise in Montevideo will actually go through the full scenario of a fire and abandoned ship, and we'll launch the boats.
should we take a little tour on the ship,
Sure.
on the bridge?
Sure. So here we have the controls for the propellers to control their speed. They're fixed pitch, so we control the RPM. If we want to stop the ship and go backwards, we have to stop the propellers and reverse them. Right now we're on autopilot, so there's nobody actually steering the ship because we're going in a straight line. And the autopilot is very good at steering the ship in a straight line. It does it very efficiently, and very slight rudder corrections to hold the heading. When we get near port and we start maneuvering and changing course often, and we're near, let's say, danger anywhere near ships or near the grounding line or any hard object or anything that could get in our way, we go to hand steering, and we put a man on the wheel, and we're conning manually.
Então o capitão contou um pouco da história dele e falou também que aqui a ponte de comando não é só para pilotar o navio, ou controlar combustível, navegação, etc. Tem também a parte de precaução contra acidentes, incêndio, etc. Então o capitão vai mostrar pra gente como é que ele vê se algum lugar do navio tem alguma situação de emergência, por exemplo, a localização também da equipe médica, e também como é que é acionado se tem algum fogo, que o fogo é o principal inimigo da gente a bordo e todo mundo é treinado semanalmente, como vocês viram ele falando.
Here you have our fire detection system, so anytime we get a red alarm, it shows up here on this screen, and this screen has the chart of the entire ship on board. We have our ballast control systems here where we can pump and move water and ballast to trim
to
the
balance
ship.
the ship. Yeah.
So we have to keep the ship trimmed a little bit by the head for efficiency, because when a ship is running through the water, it tends to squat down a little bit. So you tend to keep it trimmed by the bow, so when she's running, she's tending to be more flat. For water flow, it's more efficient. You save a few percent here or there.
Yeah.
So we're managing that all the time. If the wind shifts one way or the other, it puts forces on the ship and can cause us to list. So we'll pump in our healing tanks liquid one side to the other to bring the ship back up right.
And
And
these
that's
are
mostly automatic. All that
Yeah,
right now.
Nice
Actually,
that.
no, we actually do it manually. There's
Yeah?
no real automation in this. We move liquid manually.
on the
So
new
Keep
ships.
track
Is
of
it
it.
automatically?
there is some automatic functions in the newest ships.
Yeah.
But you have to be careful with the automatic and automation
Yeah.
in this system. So it can suddenly start pumping liquids. You have to be very careful with that. We have fresh water. We have ballast water. We have fuel oil. We have lube oils. We have gray water, black water. All these different liquids in all these different tanks. Some of them empty.
Ele está mostrando os tipos de água que você tem no navio, que aqui ele é parcialmente reciclável ou totalmente reciclável. I'm talking to them about the black water, and because you also desalinalize water, right?
Yes.
For the shower and to drink and everything. Então toda a água é reciclada e ela é pegada do mar, é a água que você toma banho quando você faz um cruzeiro. Ela é desalinalizada, tratada.
But I can explain quickly. We have two ways of making it.
Okay.
We make it from the waste heat from the engines. So the heat that's going up the smokestack runs through a heat exchanger, like a radiator, and
Yeah.
it captures the heat and makes steam. That steam is directed down into low pressure evaporators like a tank where there's a vacuum, and you can boil seawater in a vacuum at a low temperature and collect the condensate. So the more heat we make with the main engines, the more water we make. So that's one way. And the other way is what they call reverse osmosis, and that's like a filtration system where you can take seawater and under super high pressure run it through a very fine filter membrane, and out the other end comes fresh water. So those two methods, we're able to make all the water we need when we're off the
And
coast.
do you have some specific spot that you're planning to focus on energy reducing in the future?
Right now we're focusing on energy reduction everywhere we can, but the main focus at this point is the AEP, which is the air emissions.
You have different
System.
fuels, right?
Yeah, but we're basically installing scrubbers on all our ships now to reduce the particulate matter that comes out of the smokestacks. We can't do a lot about the CO2,
Yeah.
but we can do as much as we can about all the other bits and pieces that come out of the smokestack. But the CO2, the only way to reduce that is to reduce our fuel consumption. Fuel consumption is our biggest cost. So we have to do everything we can as a business to manage that. And that's always going to be the goal. And we do that in every way possible to save energy. And our engines are running at around 42% thermal efficiency. Now that might not sound like a lot, but your economy car runs at about 25%. So these big marine diesels, these type of diesels that you use in a power plant, the same type, are very, very efficient.
Então nós vamos falar agora de um outro tópico aqui, que nessa mesa que vocês estão vendo, eles sempre fazem um briefing ou então uma reunião para saber como é que foi o treinamento de evacuação do navio, como é que foi induzido o tempo disso tudo, e o capitão vai falar também das comportas, etc.
So the Chief Officer of Safety is in charge of conducting and coordinating the drill. And he'll present a scenario to the staff captain and myself and the chief engineer and the hotel director. We're privy to this scenario. Nobody else gets to see it. So we plan a different scenario for each and every drill. A certain area of the ship, usually a high-risk area. Could be laundry, could be engine room space, something like that. And we will run a scenario where we start with a smoke alarm. And we'll use Hollywood smoke, a smoke machine. So Chief Officer of Safety will stick a
It's all
smoke
about
machine down.
showbiz, I knew it!
He'll start the smoke machine, we'll make lots of smoke, it'll set off a fire alarm. One of the crew members will call in a 911, smoke reported, and there it starts. And then we send out the Bravo signal, all the teams go to their stations and dress up. Everybody reports to the bridge and to their stations for the Bravo beginning. And at that point, we're getting reports and information as to what the situation is, even though we've created the scenario. The whole idea is that we create and raise the stress level and make it as realistic as possible. All the while, the information is coming here to the center here, and we will get the information and we'll plot it on this plexiglass overlay of the ship's drawings. We know we're boundary cooled here, we know we're evacuated here. Once we evacuate, we account for everybody. That's another process, involves the hotel department and so forth, and they're accounting for everybody. Meanwhile, we're still fighting the battle here, and we're getting reports of the evacuation process and how is that going, and who are we missing, and are we making announcements, and where are they might be missing, and are we searching for them, and how's the process going, and so forth. Once we reach a certain point where we say, okay, we cannot save the ship, we must abandon the ship. We have to practice that. So we practice that very scenario where we actually launch the boats. We make the call, okay, we put the guests in the boats, we launch the boats. So we launch the boats. Now the crew, certain amount of crew go down in the boats because they have to man the boats. And then the crew from that stage go to their own muster stations where we begin evacuating the crew off the ship as well. And that's the whole scenario from beginning to end.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
that was
much.
like
It was very nice.
huge lesson.
All right, well good. Glad you
I'll
enjoyed it.
probably work with you guys one day. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but something. É isso aí, então mandem seus comentários pra gente e até o próximo vídeo.